Body, you got no dad body. I said, damn right, Marty, got a golden body. I see the openings, the game's looking shoddy. I speak Spanglish, you in the golden grapes and hoppy. I mumbles nothing, I keep it crisp poppy. Motivated by the hate and nothing stops me. Have I heard whose joints? Yeah, partially. I make my own shit. To me, I feel it's not. Bring it over.
That, of course, is a new track that came from our boy Requested, somebody who's part of the show. He's going to be joining us later on. We thought we would change things up a little bit, open up the show with a little bit of an intro. This is the San Diego Sports Junkies. Since the intro didn't say that, we are the San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm Jason. Justin here, sitting alongside me via Skype. How's it going, Justin?
Good, buddy. Happy Wednesday to you, fellas.
Yeah, happy Wednesday. And we got Jake Hefner, as always. Jake, how you doing, man?
Present.
and Requested, who actually made the music for the intro today, will be joining us later. For those of you joining us, we are live, of course, on Spreaker. If you are listening to us another way, you can also find us on iTunes, on iHeartRadio, on TuneIn, and on Stitcher Radio. But every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we do the show live via Spreaker, so you can join in and join in the chat room, kind of chat along with us, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions, tell us where we're wrong. Jake's real good at telling me where I'm wrong. He's usually right, which makes it even worse.
Well, you know what? If you're going to say that, then I hope Craig Mager is on this team for the next decade. Plenty of opportunities to tell
you guys definitely had the first round pick. Pin, so.
Oh, yeah, we know who was right on that one.
Right. I'm just going to keep kind of throwing that over to you guys once in a while.
So we're not living that down all year.
Oh, no, hell no. The thing is, Justin was throwing that out quite early, and then the day of the draft, he was throwing that out there too, so it was pretty cool. The inevitable happened. Orlando Franklin got released.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I was actually a tiny bit surprised. I thought maybe they would hold on to him for a little bit just to see how these new guys work out. But not completely shocking. I know Justin, if anybody remembers, a few months ago, Justin just wanted to release everybody and start over. And it looks
so happy.
like, once again, he might be getting his wish. It looks like something like that's starting to happen here. Justin, what were your thoughts when Orlando Franklin got released?
I personally was happy. I think the wells kind of ran dry with him. Veteran guy just didn't do it for us last year. And I don't know if that wasn't because he wasn't in shape or it wasn't ready, or his skills have diminished over time. But he didn't play very well last year. So I think the cap casualty was good enough for the Chargers to say, hey, well, we're going to save about, I think it was $2 million or so in cap space. And, with Dan Feeney and Mr. Lamp coming in, I think they feel very comfortable with that release.
Jake, were you surprised, happy, sad, mad, angry? What were your thoughts when Orlando Franklin was released?
I mean, it was necessary. More for the fact of why it was done now was from the standpoint of salary cap, get a little bit of money back while you can as far as what to save. Yeah, you're going to eat a small chunk of it, but it, if you would have kept him on the roster, I believe it would pass the June 1st designation, or at some point behind that, just before training camp started, it would have factored into a piece that would be coming out for the following year's training camp. So you wouldn't want to have any of that on your future salary cap table. And plus, like Justin alluded to, this was an investment in the offensive line that was clearly stated an investment in Phillip Rivers throughout this draft. And all of a sudden, the offensive line now actually has some pretty decent depth behind it. We don't know, obviously, the talent of it yet, but you have a lot of bodies that are back there. And I think we also have to remember that we have a new head coach that's come from a power running type of scheme in Anthony Lynn. And what Mike McCoy used to previously run, I believe that the three worst linemen that were on this roster in DJ Fluker, King Dunlap, and now Orlando Franklin, not to say worse as far as their talent-wise goes, but their scheme as far as what Mike McCoy built them up for, more in the zone blocking type of scheme, I believe, it just doesn't fit the mold anymore. So I think it was a necessary cut on a multitude of different reasons, and I think Anthony Lynn knows exactly what it is that he wants to do with this offensive line now and how he's going to have it protect Phillip Rivers and ultimately dominate in the running game.
Now here's my question with these spots being opened up. So now are we looking at Matt Slauson at center and Forrest Lamp and Dan Feeney at the guards? Or are we looking at Slauson switching over to guard and one of these guys playing tackle? What are your thoughts, Justin? Where do you think we're going to be? I know it's early, but that's what we like to do is we like to make predictions early that are way unlikely to come true. What are your thoughts on the lineup of these guys? And do you think they're all going to start? Both those guys are going to start.
Yeah, I think all three guys are going to start. The guys you mentioned, they're Feeney, Lamp, and Slauson. Just my opinion. Hopefully that does work itself out. I don't know how it's going to play out. I know that there's a lot of interchangeable parts. These guys are very versatile.
Right.
I would like to see Slauson maybe stay in that center spot because he's a veteran. But if I remember correctly, when he was with the Jets, he played guard and still made all the calls while he was a center. So that could be helpful to a rookie as well. I think Jake could be better suited to answer if Lamp or Feeney's better suited for the center spot. I know one of those guys is, and I've heard that. I just forget which one. But overall, the versatility of these three men is fantastic to me, and I think the pieces are talented, and I think there are some big old boys that would love to run block for Melvin Gordon. So I think it's a good three to have, and I don't know which guy to actually put there at the center spot.
And we got Max Turk to mix into that to the mix also.
He's gonna be battling
center,
too.
And that's kind of what I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping to see Turk at center.
That'd be
Slauson
nice.
Move over to guard, and then probably Lamp move over to tackle, but
sure.
Jake, what do you think is going to happen?
Can't forget Spencer Pulley in that equation too.
Right. That's
sure.
right.
Over the last couple of weeks. To answer Justin's question, the better offensive lineman that's suited for the center position out of those two is Dan Feeney, as far as his past experience for it. I see it right now as I think Justin's on the money here because he was so used to it while he was with the Jets that Matt Slauson actually slides over to that left guard position, takes the spot of Franklin there. Now all of a sudden you possibly may have a three-way battle between Spencer Pulley and Max Turk for the center position, and then I think Forrest Lamp is installed immediately at the right guard spot next to Barksdale. So the biggest spotlight I think is going to be at the center position. I'm of the mindset that if it came down to it, I'd love to have Slauson stay there as well, just because Phillip Rivers already has familiarity with it. Right. Like Justin said, he is a veteran, and it's good for that chemistry. But ultimately, Anthony Lynn's going to run his offensive system and how he sees it best for the dominant running power game that he wants it to be, and hopefully it'll flourish the way he wants to.
Well, we timed this perfect because Requested just joined us, and I know you missed the beginning. We actually replaced our intro with that song you sent us, so we appreciate you sending that to us. We're talking about the Chargers releasing Orlando Franklin, and what are we looking at with the center guard tackle, all of that situation here? Do we look like do we think that Slauson's going to start at center, or maybe Max Turek, or maybe even Dan Feeney at center? Do you have a thought on that, Requested?
First of all, I just wanted to say thanks, man. Thanks for putting the song in the intro, too, guys. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, thanks.
We appreciate you sending it to us. We're always looking for new stuff, and we need to cater to a younger crowd because I know that
yeah.
the music I pick does not do that.
Oh, man, I don't know. You know what? All the good stuff is the old stuff, man. I'm just trying to leave a little mark, I guess.
Yeah, nice. So anyways, yeah, thank you for sending that, and anything you send us, we would love to have and we would love to put on there. Moving forward with that, Orlando Franklin, were you surprised that he got released, or were you kind of expecting that?
Well, you know what? Justin, I think we're on I don't know what's going on, man. We talked about Franklin as being a casualty. We brought him up a couple times, and
he was an early casualty, man. Down, Mayday.
Yes. So, no, not surprised at all. I kind of, you know what, in a comical sense, guys, it's almost funny because I'm almost feeling as if guys maybe shouldn't be taking pictures parading around LA. It doesn't seem to benefit him too much right now, man.
Right.
You know, guys keep getting snipped, man. They keep running around trying to embrace LA, and the Spanos family's like, look, man, you took too many pictures. You're making too much noise. You know, unless you're these young guys, if you're not the Barretts of the world, you know, you probably want to save the picture. So no, not surprised at all, man. Not in the least bit.
Yeah, I was surprised at the timing, but Jake kind of filled us in, let us know that the timing actually was good for the Chargers because of salary cap reasons. Because I always say if it doesn't cost you anything, you might as well keep a guy as long as you can. But they salary cap for salary cap reasons, it was the best time to cut him. Now they did make another signing. Now we've been barking all offseason that probably the biggest position of concern was the safety position. Trey Boston, he had gone to a few different places. He had come to San Diego, and I don't have it in front of me right now. I know he had looked at a couple other places. I can't remember where they were. Buffalo might have been one of them. I don't remember. But Trey Boston ended up signing with the Chargers, which you got to think for him, he probably looked at that and said, that's the spot where I have a real chance to actually get some playing time. We'll start with you, Jake. What are your thoughts on Trey Boston coming here, and do you think it was a good signing?
I like it as a signing this far into free agency. I mean, you know, let's be real. He's not going to set the world on fire, but I mean, I think that he's going to be able to be in a rotation with Dwight Lowry. And I like the fact that he's a younger type of guy. You know, he hasn't been in the league that often, but, you know, he started 16 games. I think it was 10 games over, I think it was the last 2 seasons, if I'm right. But so he's got some starting experience. He still needs, you know, there's aspects of his game that definitely could use some refinement, especially in the tackling department. He's more of, you know, a ball hawk. That's kind of what his prototypical makeup is. But he's a young guy. You know, he's still only 24. You know, if you could develop this guy into something that could possibly turn into something long term, you know, a year or 2 years from now, that'd be awesome. So I think from the competition and just all the question marks that you have at the safety position right now with guys like Adrian McDonald, Adrian Phillips, Dexter McCoyle, you know, your 2 draft picks that you just brought in, Desmond King and Rayshon Jenkins, there's a lot of competition right now for the safety position. So it'll be interesting to see how Trey can obviously adapt to being with a new team, obviously thrown right into the mix as far as training camp or mini camps get underway here right now. But I think it was a nice addition, and you know, just adds another depth in the secondary. Can never have too many of those.
You know, the fact that you said that he's going to be on a rotation basis with Dwight Lowry doesn't say much for him, to be honest with you, because you think he'd be able to come into San Diego and take over, you know, because of the glaring need for safety. Justin, what were your thoughts about Trey Boston? Do you
you stole my thunder, dude. Yeah. Like I'm like, who the hell? You know, we need to axe Dwight Lowry like yesterday, dude. I'm not a fan, and I didn't really particularly love the signing last year. So that being said, I don't make the decisions there, and Jake alluded to the fact that there's some stiff competition. What I do like this season, in the preseason, so to speak, off season, has been the depth we've added at certain spots. Like look at the offensive line, look at the safety spots and key spots. Look at the wide receiver spots. You know, like they're loaded. Yeah, there's going to be some max competition this season in the preseason to make this roster, and I love that. I love that about what they've done with these selections they decided to bring in. I don't think Trey Boston is, like Jake said, going to set the world on fire. But if he's a 24-year-old kind of a serviceable guy, I don't know a lot about him. If he can come in and maybe grab a spot from one of these rookies that don't have much experience, he might be the starter on opening week. So right. Who knows? This could be the depth add, and I don't see Dwight Lowry on this team by week 1 anyway. So I think he's gone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Dwight Lowry got cut either. To be honest with you, but I think it all depends on how these. We have a lot of people. We have a lot of players that are.
Well, look at the casualties. I mean, you got two. Yeah, you got. I don't mean to cut you off, but you got 2 young guys they drafted.
you meant to cut me off.
I always say that just to be nice. But they bring in Boston, right? So,
right.
And we were all kind of impressed with McDonald last year, right? A little bit, Adrian McDonald.
A little. I liked him actually.
I did too. That's what I'm saying. Like guys like that, I don't see a spot for an aging veteran safety that can't do anything. I'm sorry. I don't see a guy. He was bad. Tell me some good things he did last year. I didn't see it.
Towards the middle of the season, he made a couple good plays. We'll talk about that. But he certainly started off the season pretty poorly.
This is one of the things that makes the talk with me and Justin so well. Normally, Jason, you were probably thinking like I'd be banging the table saying, "Hey, as I've been saying the past year and a half, get Dwight Lowry off this team." And normally inside, I'm thinking that. And here comes like my diplomatic approach, let's be the, Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Analyst type, with my analyst hat on. But then that's why I have Justin, because he has my realist side, and I know that he talk about it anyways.
Yeah, I don't mind like Jake. I respect Jake's opinion, and I will never go. He's got way more knowledge than I do about positions and battles and stuff like. I just when I feel something in my gut, I just say it, because that's how, as a fan. And I don't I don't scout players or anything, but I know as a fan, I didn't see that guy do squat last year. He needs to get the F off my team. So when I say these things, it's not offensive. It's just I want to battle with all you guys, and this is what makes discussion and dialogue so fun on the show. I love that.
If this prediction of yours for Lowry is correct, then shortly after that, we're setting up a day to go to Vegas, dude, because I could use some of that luck on the tables. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I can't wait for that tweet to come out. From Michael Gelkin doesn't work for us anymore. I don't know which tweet it would come out. Eric Williams might do it, but I can't wait for that. I'll make sure I tag you in it, buddy.
Hey, requested Trey Boston signing. Did you see the way I looked at it was, this is a position of need that we really need someone to come in. This is a guy who has an opportunity to come in here and really make something happen because of the lack of talent. Like we've said all the guys' names, but Rayshawn Jenkins is going to make he's going to make the team because he's a draft pick. He's most likely going to make the team. But you got Dwight Lowry, you got Dexter McCoyle, who I'm sorry, I was really high on him last year, but he was pretty disappointing to me. Adrian McDonald, I liked what I saw in the preseason. I thought that he had some a chance to do something in the future, but he wasn't quite ready. Adrian Phillips, never been a big fan of his, to be honest with you. Darrell Stuckey, same thing. At safety, I've never been a big fan. There's a lot of guys on here there's a lot of fat to be trimmed here, and I know fat, trust me. But
you stop it. You're a lean, mean fight machine.
But requested. What are your thoughts on the signing of Trey Boston? Do you think he's going to come in and he's going to take over the spot, or is he just going to be another safety that we have on the team?
God, you covered so much ground on that. That was amazing. You know what? When you say them all as a collection, none of them really excite me all that much.
Yes.
But I do like the competition factor. I'm not going to pretend like I even know who Trey Boston is. For some reason, I don't know who this guy is. And I know I read stories about him saying how he wanted to play here, and all that stuff's cute. And maybe if I wasn't, honestly, if I wasn't upset still, I probably would buy all into it like I normally would. But I guess I like the fact that Lowry's got to play for his spot. But outside of that, I don't know. I want to see Jenkins get in there or something. I don't know if this Trey Boston guy's the guy, but I do like Lowry having to play for his job because I'm not a Lowry guy.
That could be really good, or that could be just
everybody's joining the club.
It could be just a boatload of shit that we have out there at the safety spot. But it could be something where this kind of lights a fire. You got some really, really healthy competition making everybody else better, and maybe a guy like Dexter McCoyle or Adrian McDonald like step up, and because there's a spot here. Besides Jaleel Adai, there is an absolute spot there to. Who's calling? I can't tell who's calling.
Who is that?
I don't know.
Is it the mayor?
Maybe it's Trav. Is it Trav?
Yeah, I don't know who it is. It didn't say. Usually it tells me who it is.
Is it Jim?
But ultimately, there's a real opportunity here. Besides Jaleel Adai, who I think is entrenched in his spot, I think that there's some real opportunity here for somebody to really step forward, and maybe it is Rayshawn Jenkins as a rookie, or like I said, Dexter McCoyle, who was a little bit disappointing to me last year. But go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Somehow I got interlocked in a private conversation with the mayor, and I told him I had to leave. What I do enjoy is the rejuvenated, invigorated. I'm going to use big words. Youthfulness. I don't want to see Dwight Lowry, taking his preparation H on the sideline. I don't need stuff like that. These guys. If we're gonna go young here, then let's go Desmond King and Rashawn Jenkins. Let's get these guys from the U in there. Let's get fresh blood. I'm tired of these old veterans, the Bob Sanders of the world. I love those guys, but geez, crime. You know what I'm saying though. Like, this is where we're headed. Young defense coming into its own. Let them make a few mistakes, but you can see the talent with Jenkins and Desmond King. So let's slide those guys in. Let's see what they can do at this level. I know it's going to take a little minute, but I'd rather see that than freaking that guy.
So to wrap up Justin's opinion on the offensive line and on the safety position, it's cut them all.
Get them out of here.
Cut them all and bring in new blood. That's I don't know. I like the thought of new blood, and I like what Request had said, where it's there's going to be a competition and a healthy competition. I just want to see someone step up and be the overwhelming guy that they want back there at safety. And God, I don't know if there's in this group. I think we just got a bunch of average guys. Jake,
I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
Good. Jake, help me out here. Is there a chance of somebody stepping up and saying, this is my job and I'm the man, or do we just got a bunch of guys out there?
I mean, it's way too early to tell whether you can. I mean, because you're looking at the depth chart. It's either guys who have been on this roster, for 1 year, hasn't even played a snap yet, hasn't gotten enough playing time, whatever you want to look at. It's just too big of a question mark to say, like, hey, where's the one guy that's going to jump up and say this position's mine? One guy who I'm actually excited about specifically because Gus Bradley is now the defensive coordinator. I'm excited to see what Dexter McCoy is going to do, because we understand what Gus Bradley's background is with bigger defensive backs, a la the Cam Chancellor type. I would love to see how he'd be able to better his skill set, develop him as a player. And again, with just the rest of the youth, including the draft picks that we had in Jenkins and King, what are you going to be able to put together? So he knows his secondary really, really well. And I'm excited from just the coaching aspect of saying, hey, how are these guys going to be different as players? Because I think he's going to have a direct relation in that.
Yeah, I might be falling for the Dexter McCoy thing for 2 years in a row now, because I was kind of falling for him last year, and like I said, he disappointed a little bit, or he underperformed what I was expecting. But maybe now with one extra year in the league, maybe we'll see something different. Justin, what do you think? I know you like the tall guys.
No, I was huge on Dexter McCoy last year coming from Canada. I'm high on him still. He's one guy. This is what the youthfulness brings. He's going to have another year under his belt. And like Jake alluded to, Gus Bradley has a crazy knack for bigger types of safeties. I dig that, and I think he can be an asset to this team. And his versatility. He seems like he figures things out pretty well. I'm really excited to see what he could do on this defense this season.
We got the mayor, SoCal Trav, joining us here. We're talking to the safety position right now. The Chargers signed Trey Boston. What are your thoughts on Trey Boston? And most of us are kind of feeling like we got Jaleel Adai, who I actually think he turned the corner, and we saw a lot. We got a lot more out of him, but there's also a possibility that we just got a bunch of average guys out at safety right now. Do you see anybody stepping forward and being a big time player out there from the safety position for the Chargers?
I still have to rely on the hitman, and I think Boston will be a good fill in here and there. Oh shit! I just lost everything. There we go.
You're still there.
Yeah, good fill in here and there. But I think Boston can also play. He can also play corner as well if they need to. So there's things they can use him. I think he's just not a safety. I think he's a jack of all trades kind of guy on the defensive side of the ball. So I like the pickup, and I still think Adai is the guy at safety. As long as he can stay healthy.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't knock himself stupid, which
yes,
he's done the last few years. But like I said, I just saw a different guy when he came back from that shoulder injury. I saw a guy played a lot different than he did before that shoulder injury. I hope I'm okay. I hope I'm correct on that. We got Mikey, Mikey in the chat room, and one thing that we know is we bounce around quite a bit. So we're going to go ahead and go to his question. And
hang on a second before you what his question is.
Yeah.
Does it rhyme with a dude that rhymes with quivers?
Yes, it does.
My God,
what
I wonder
surprise.
how I figured that.
Does that mean it flows downstream?
Yes. And he said he starts the chat off with serious question because I want to make sure that we don't think that he's trolling here because he does that a little bit too. But he says, serious question: if Rivers leads the league in interceptions for the third time in 4 years, is it time to find a new QB? We'll start with Travis because he is nodding his head.
I think they need. I'd say next draft they definitely got to find Rivers' potential replacement because I know Justin's shaking his head no, but hear me out though. He is getting up in age, and he's no Tom Brady. I'm not comparing him to like stats. I'm talking like injuries and how much that guy's been hit. They continually do not put a good offensive line in front of Phil Rivers. If he had the protection over these past few years, I think his body would be in better shape to play longer. But I think with the way his body is getting beat up, getting smacked down, and just getting laid out on the ground, I don't think his body's going to be able to take much more if this offensive line this year doesn't hold up for him. So I think we're going to see them draft a QB next year, and they're gonna kind of mold him into taking Rivers' spot in the next year or two.
What you got, Justin?
Highly disagree just because I think he's got 3 or 4 years left of quality seasons. I know what you're saying, but look at it this way. I mean, even with all the bad offensive lines, he's one of the most durable quarterbacks in all of football, even with the crappy O-line. He knows how to kind of escape the pocket and get down. He knows when to take a sack and when not to. He's pretty smart about that stuff, knock on wood. But yes, he does. He's had a deficiency at offensive line for a long time. We all know that. I think that's why they went out and got these two young kids that are just brute, and they'll be good in the run game. Let's cross our fingers on that. But they seem like they're going to be just fine. I think that shows you why they cut Orlando Franklin because they even in these rookie OTAs they saw that these kids can handle it. They're big boys, so I'm excited about that. I think you're 2 years away from drafting a quarterback, to be honest, and you can't waste first-round picks on quarterbacks just because you're looking 5 years down the road. You can't, and I think most teams would tell you it's silly, but 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road, it's all the same thing, right? And we're not talking a kid's going to come in and play right away.
Justin, I agree with everything that you just said, but I have to bring up the point. You didn't really answer the question. The question is, if all of that stuff that you said, I agree with, but what happens if all of that with the offensive line and now we have the wide receivers and stuff? If Rivers still leads the league in interceptions, do you think it's time to move on from him? Because hey, I'm a Rivers lover. I'm a Rivers apologist, if you want to call me that. The reason why he's had those interceptions in the last few years, I don't think are his fault, but taking away all of that, if he still leads the league in interceptions, do you think maybe it's time to move in a different direction? Not finding his replacement, but actually move in a different direction. Say, you know what, this guy is not the quarterback. I think that's what the question was.
Yeah, I'll make it short. No, you don't move on because you don't. I mean, you can't find guys with his IQ in football. And I'll just example Peyton Manning, the Dan Marinos of the world, even later in their career, they still kept on to those guys because why? Their IQ, their mobility sucked, but they still made smart decisions at times. He still throws for touchdowns. He might throw some picks. He's going to try to fit it in a window. That's Phillip Rivers. If you get a defense around Phillip Rivers and you get special teams to do their job in all aspects of football, it doesn't matter if he throws 15 in a season. It won't matter because they're doing their job. They're getting the ball back for our offenses for more opportunities. So if collectively this whole thing gets better, Philip won't have to worry about that stuff, and he can throw 15 to 20 picks and still be in good shape, and we'll go to the playoffs.
Requested, what are your thoughts? If Philip Rivers leads the league in interceptions, is it time to find a new QB?
No, I don't think so either. Not for the sake of doing it just to be progressive, because I mean, there's been a few quarterbacks that have come out that I'm fond of. I mean, Mariota. I think Jameis showed me he's a little better than I give him credit for his first year. But you're not really finding like a ton of guys that are coming out of the draft that you're like, okay, he's the franchise guy. All these guys that came out, Trubisky, all these quarterbacks that came into this draft, none of them make me feel like, okay, well, there's a franchise quarterback in that crop. So if there is one, it's going to be more like it's a wait and see type of thing. Because I was very skeptical of Winston and Mariota coming out, but now I like both of them, especially Marcus, because he just I don't know, he doesn't have a lot. That's a quarterback who's playing with the team that, prior to this draft, he didn't have like a ton of weapons, but he plays well. And yeah, like Justin said, Rivers is not mobile, but he's got very good pocket awareness, and he's throwing a lot of picks because for the past 2 years he's been throwing to a skeleton crew. He hasn't really had the guys that he was practicing with, so he wasn't throwing to his ones and twos. Even last year with Tyrell, he was throwing to Tyrell, and really it was just OJT, just straight up on the job training. You had a dude who was maybe 5 on the depth chart who by season's end became your number one receiver. And we saw times where Rivers had his arms up and he's mad at Tyrell for maybe ending his route too soon and stuff like that. So I think it's a little premature, unless, of course, this college season some dude just kind of flies off the charts and you got to do something crazy like trade somebody to go after him. So I totally disagree as well.
Let me just throw in real quick and I'll make it short. Imagine a healthy team. Imagine a healthy football team this year with the receivers, with the healthy O-line this season, new blood. Imagine all that. Maybe a little more time to throw the football.
Right.
Maybe the running game gets going more so he won't have to rely on more throws. Just picture that. We have been so decimated by injuries in the last 3 seasons. I can't even explain to you. We know that.
No,
so give it a chance to work a little. And I know what your guys are saying, and I get it. Maybe it is time and maybe it's not. He's still a great quarterback, and he will be for a few more years until he starts being stupid with the football. I mean, and he has been at times, like just really bad, then I get that.
Okay, and Mike says what I was actually going to say next. I agree with you. Imagine all those things. Imagine the improved offensive line. Imagine all that.
Is there a world where we can think about that?
But then with all of that, imagine him still leading the league in picks. And that's what the question is. And it's actually an interesting question, because if that's the case, if we have the improved offensive line and we have the healthy, improved wide receivers and we have the full crew out there and he still leads the league in interceptions, maybe that means that he's lost it. Maybe that's what that would mean. And maybe it would be time to,
sure, that he's not going to play. He's not going to play forever. We know that. But I just don't think it's the next 2 years. I think he's fine.
Jake, help us out here. Be the voice of reason here. What are your thoughts on what Mikey said?
I'll make a case that the Chargers draft a quarterback whether or not Philip Rivers leads the league in interceptions or he doesn't. And I say that specifically just because the class for next year for the quarterbacks is very, very talented. There could be an easy top, or not top, but 5 QBs that go in our first round talent next year. Obviously, Sam Darnold, USC, Josh Rosen out of UCLA, Luke Falk out of Washington State. One guy who I know you guys are familiar with, Josh Allen out of Wyoming, if he ends up coming out and declaring. They're all prototypical size, 6'4" or above, 225, everything that you want in a quarterback. So, for all the talk and negative talk about the quarterbacks that came out this year. And let's not forget, the Chargers also have, I think it's the 3rd or the 2nd most difficult schedule in the league this year, as opposed to what they had last year. I think it was the 4th easiest, and they still ended up in the top 10 for their picks. So, again, you may find yourself possibly in the top 5, again, picking maybe at least in the top 10, depending on what your record is, because you're going to get up against some very competitive team. So again, not to say that they would come in day one and unseat Phillip Rivers from the quarterback spot, but I would think with the quarterback class that you have coming out next year, there's a case to be made that the Chargers could actually this year, or next year, excuse me, give real serious consideration to taking Phillip Rivers' heir, having him sit on the bench for the remainder of the 2 years that Phillip Rivers' contract is up before he retires, and then allow that starter to come in and take over the team.
Yeah, I can see that happening as well. I think it all depends on how close they feel that they are, how the season goes, and I don't know. With Phillip Rivers, like Justin said, you can't move on from somebody when the position is such a hard position to fill. Everybody talks about Phillip Rivers is done. It's time to move on. Move on to what?
What's better out there?
Yeah.
Like, tell me what's better. Like, I get, and then Jake said it perfectly. If they come in and sit 2 years, that's perfect.
Yeah,
that'd be perfect. And he brings up a great point. The thing I didn't add in the equation is I don't know about the draft class coming out, the quarterback class. So Jake knows about that stuff. I know a couple of those names that he mentioned, and they're very good QBs. So especially the kid from Wyoming, God, he's he's great. But I think if a guy did come in next year, he's sitting for a couple years because I think Phillip's not done. I think he's just not done. And if you have that IQ of football like he has, like a Peyton Manning type of guy, not saying he is, just that type of quarterback where he gets it done with his head more or less than relying on physical ability all the time, then I think he's here for a few more years.
Yeah. My only thought is one thing I'm a little bit worried about is we're talking about all these rookies, a couple rookies starting on the offensive line. Now we're looking at a rookie wide receiver coming in there to make an impact. And anybody who knows whether or not you want to complain, you think that he's changing the play too much at the line, or if the way that the offense is designed, he's making a lot of calls at the line. Those are things that rookies have a hard time adapting to.
Have you seen our wide receiving core the last 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
I don't think
have
a
you,
rookie
have you seen
number
Mike
one.
Williams play football?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think Mike Williams is going to have a problem with Phillip Rivers at quarterback. He's made Sherez GZ Tutu look great. I can't even say the name right now, but he's like, there are guys he just makes look incredible because he makes the throws. So rookie, I don't think wide receiver is an issue there.
All right.
Mike Williams will be the number one receiver next year. You watch. He is gonna have 1,150 yards in receiving next year.
You mean for rookies, right?
Number one on the Chargers.
With
1,150 receiving yards.
Keenan Allen will get injured week 1, so it don't matter.
Keenan Allen won't even make it to week 1.
Right, you're right.
All right, let's move on let's talk some more about the draft class. It looks like, as far as I can tell, it looks like the Chargers have signed all their draft choices we were talking about before. Jake, is that correct? They're all signed now?
Rayshawn Jenkins and Dan Feeney signed this afternoon.
So I think one thing that we've talked a lot about. We've talked a lot about how the Chargers ownership has taken a different approach since they moved up north. They talked about the draft party, something they never did down here in San Diego. And now they've signed all of their draft choices, within the same month within 30 days of the draft, which, of course, everybody knows what happened last year. I'll start with you, Jake. Do you think that had anything to do with the Chargers moving up to L.A. and them saying we can't afford to have any stupid distractions making us look bad when we're trying to fight for L.A. or whatever stupid lame-ass slogan they're using up there right now? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
Well, like stroke for LA.
I don't know. I mean, you'd hope that you can't make the hypothetical that if they were still in San Diego that they'd say to themselves, hey, do we want to do that exact same thing that we did with Joey Bosa last year? Let's have that same thing happen again with Mike Williams. Again, you're talking about also a difference between a number 3 pick and a number 7 pick, which on the number 7 you have a little bit more flexibility given the place where they're drafted and the salary cap ranges that you can negotiate and make it comparable with the other guys that went before and after you. But I think they just made a stupid mistake that they handled it last year, and coincidentally, just because they happened to move up to LA the following year, they decided to learn from their mistake and not have that type of crap happen again. So it's good from that stance, get it out of the way. But it's just unfortunate that you had to take 4 games away from Joey Bosa with negotiating the way you did last year.
Right, and I actually do disagree with you though, Jake. I do think that they're taking a different approach up in LA because they're more concerned on what their public image is up there. Down in San Diego, I don't think they cared anymore. I really don't, and I think up in LA now, they got kind of punched in the face when they moved up there. They thought that everybody was, they thought they'd be greeted as liberators. We've heard that before, right? But of course they weren't, and now I think that they're being very, very careful. They thought they could go up there, they could take 15 seconds to make a new logo, and people called them on it, and I think they're being extra careful now with all the moves they make. Now that they're in LA, you agree with me, Justin?
Yeah, I think it's a PR. That's exactly what it is. If you're moving to a new spot, you can't have holdouts. You can't have things like that. The things they're doing, signing these guys, that's all fine and dandy. I mean, until last year, they haven't been really that many holdouts. I mean, I get they've had issues in the past with certain players, but let's face it. I mean, it wasn't that big of a problem. I'm getting guys signed. I mean, here and there, but
it was though. If you look at the history of the Chargers, it wasn't.
Well, at
it
times,
wasn't
yes.
It wasn't so bad once they changed the rules. Even though they somehow still had the Joey Bosa thing. But if you remember that
offset language
before that, when they didn't have that rookie salary cap, our rookies every year did not come to training camp at the beginning. They never did. They always had problems in San Diego, and I think that
I don't think it was every year, Jace, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. Up there, you need a perception. If you're moving into a neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
It's your first few weeks there. You're gonna let your grass grow really long, or are you gonna, are you gonna keep things kept, or are you gonna be that neighbor? So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of that PR battle as well.
I agree. They're new and they want to impress. You agree, Requester?
Sure.
Do you think that there's you think that they're handling things different because they're up in LA, or do you think that this is the same way they would handle them if they're still down here?
No, I definitely think it's because they're in LA. I mean, we're all on Twitter, man, and they're getting way more talked up now than they would here. And the team, it's the draft has happened and they picked up a couple new guys, but it's essentially the same team. But now that NFL Network's in the same city as them, they're on there almost every other day. And like you said, you made a huge point. You compared it to leaving your old lady for a hot chick. You said that a couple weeks ago, and when and you would have, of course, who doesn't do that? You leave somebody and then you want to show that new person the best you. You're holding in your farts. You're not taking a shit at their house, dude. You're going home with the stomach ache because you got to impress, dude.
The Chargers, that's great.
You're not eating chicken on your first date.
You got to tweet that out.
I'm just saying.
The Chargers in LA are holding in their farts.
Pretty much.
Spanos is.
I know.
That's great.
I know Trav is a Spanos hater, but do you think that they're acting differently up in LA?
Yeah, they are, because now they're in the second biggest sports market in the country. Their value just increased to, I think they're worth like $2.8 billion now that they're in LA or something like that. Spanos has been to like Kings games and sat right behind home plate at Dodger Stadium. You never saw that douchebag do anything like that in San Diego. When did you see him go to a Padres game? When did you see him at a Gulls game?
Never.
I mean, come on.
So
he's phony anyway. He's the worst freaking owner in sports right now, besides Art Moreno of the Angels. They're both crap.
One other thing to add in there, guys. Just look at who they kind of were closer related to when they were there in a short bit of time. They buddied up with the Clippers, so the Clippers are them. 20 years earlier.
San Diego Cast-offs.
Right.
That's a good.
And they're good now. They sell games out. So
but they don't win championships.
No, they don't, and that's probably the same. And there's a very good chance that happens again.
Yeah.
That's what makes this whole thing bad. Is it's loyal fans down here have been with them with all the losing seasons. That's what's terrible about the whole thing.
I like all these fake fans in LA that have come out. Oh,
yeah.
Have
you seen those? Yeah, comments and stuff on Twitter. I get sick.
Many of them.
There's tons.
There's plenty of them,
I get
man.
sick to my stomach. They go LA Chargers. I can't wait to see you in person. It's like, you guys are gay.
So they're
Get out of here.
Get out
then
are you telling me
No
you guys
offense
think?
to anybody, but get out of here.
You guys think? I think you meant gay as in lame, not in. But is
I've been as yes.
Is So you guys think that the Chargers are being embraced a little bit more up in LA than
No.
Because you guys are talking about all these people, saying I can't.
Yeah, they're fake fans. They got bought, just like they bought those people that go to the Forum. They bought those people that go to that thing at the StubHub Center.
Yeah.
They bought season seat holders because they gave them a Phillip Rivers jersey. When was the last time you bought season seats in San Diego? And good old Spanis got you a free Rivers jersey. Yeah. Come on.
Spanis.
Dean Spanis.
Well, we certainly
the most professional podcast in America.
We certainly don't want to waste too much time talking about Dean Spanis.
I'm gonna ship. You know what I'm gonna do? There's a place you can order dog poop online and ship it to somebody. I'm gonna ship Dean Spanis a box of shit.
I'll tell you what. I think you'll be wasting your money because I doubt he opens up his mail. I'm sure.
I don't care who opens it. It's
he's
gonna be
already
great,
got quite a few boxes of dog poop delivered to him already.
I don't care who opens up. It'll make my point. I mean, what do you do when you got the San Diego, Costa Mesa, Carson, Inglewood, Los Angeles Chargers playing up there now?
Like I said, if he was smart, which we all know he's not, he would stop talking about the LA Chargers and he would just start talking about the Chargers. And
Fight for LA.
Try and rebrand them as just the Chargers, and that's all.
Have you seen the Fight for LA T-shirt? It's so gay. I mean lame, sorry.
Gay as in lame. All right. Before we move on and start talking Padres, anybody else have any other Charger news? I know one thing that we actually titled the show this, and we haven't spoken about it at all, so we at least have to get to this a little bit. We had talked about undrafted free agents and the chance to make the club. Jake, how many years in a row has an undrafted free agent made the Chargers? Uh-oh, we lost Jake.
Jake checked out at when we were talking about lame.
19.
19 years.
19 years.
19 years in a row, and I had already made my prediction that I think that this will be the year that it ends. I do not think an undrafted free agent will make the team. However...
I think 19 is a good number to end on.
Oh, yeah, that is good. San Diego.
Yes.
Yeah. I do think that if somehow an undrafted free agent makes the team, it's going to be at the running back position. That's the one position I think that somebody has an opportunity to actually make something happen here. I think everything else is too clogged up. Travis is shaking his head. No, I'm going to go ahead and let you know. Is there going to be one make the team, and if so, what position? Okay.
I know where he's going to go with this.
Me too.
He's going kicker.
He's going kicker.
Go.
Nope, I'm going Young Hoku, baby.
There it is.
Yeah.
Because he's all LA.
What'd you call me?
The acrobatics and all that stuff is totally the LA scene, man.
What'd you call me?
He's perfect. And he's got the soccer moves, and you're going to play in a soccer stadium.
That's ridiculous.
Young Hoku.
Stop it with that.
The mayor is a closet Josh Lambo fan.
Yeah.
I want to see
I can't stand Josh Lambo and his hair. I can't stand him at the StubHub Center playing with soccer players. Like, get off my team, dude.
He looks like a soccer player. He is an old soccer player. Justin.
Sure.
I can't wait to see Koo do cartwheels before he boots it through the uprights. That's going to be classic.
No.
Justin, I didn't ask what you were hoping. I didn't ask what you hoped would happen. I asked what you thought would happen. Justin, what do you think's going to happen? Do you think that this is where the streak ends?
Well, I do think the new punter they just signed, he'll probably make the team because that guy's terrible. The guy we drafted, that was like the best punter in the country, and he comes into the league and he punts it about 5 yards every game. So I don't know what happened there, but I think he gets beat out.
I can give you my personal. I'm as sure as anything that Kaiser is on this team next year. There's no way they're moving on.
No, he's not. He gets hurt. When you punt it 5 yards, you're off the team.
Kaiser's gone.
You guys are
Kaiser
both
sucks.
You guys are both.
Kaiser's going to get tasered by the LAPD.
And if anybody listened to the pregame shows last year, they would have heard how hard I was and how upset I was with Drew Kaiser. At the same time, towards the end of the year, he started to turn it around. I do not think the Chargers will move on from him. Requested, what are your thoughts on undrafted free agents? Do you think anybody's got a shot at making this team? Or any specific
position? We talked about a little bit. There was the receiver. I'm gonna need Jake on this. The receiver who played with Mike Williams. He was undrafted.
Yeah, the other guy from Clemson.
Artavius Scott.
Yeah, I think there he is. Yeah, Scott. So maybe Scott, if they want to, make Inman expendable. I like Inman. He's grown on me some, but I feel like if they are going to go like youth, like with the youthful squad, and there's maybe somebody who can potentially get in. He's got his buddy playing opposite of him, and we see how that works sometimes. An undrafted guy, if he buddies up with the drafted guys and he works hard, anything can happen. So if there's a long shot of there being a 20th season, I'm going to go with Scott.
That's a good call.
Jake, you're the last and the wisest on this subject. What are your thoughts? Do you think the streak ends? And if it does not end, who's it going to be?
I'll say you always like it when I give percentages.
Of course.
I'll say it's an 85% chance that it ends at 19. If it doesn't, 4 people who I'm looking at, because only one of them is going to make it, really, because you only signed 15 undrafted free agents. Your free agent crop was not as good as it normally is that you get to pick the litter of when the draft process is over with. But 4 guys who I have my eyeballs on is Austin Eckler, the running back out of Washington State, which, Jason, I know that's kind of what you were alluding to with the running back position.
Yep.
Obviously, the mayor's boy, Younghoe Koo, the kicker at Georgia Southern, that is one. James Onawalu, the linebacker out of Notre Dame, and then obviously, as requested, said Artavius Scott for that receiver position. So those would be the 4 guys, really. If you look at the 15 that we got, I think those are the 4 guys that possibly have the best shot to unseat one guy off the current roster.
Yeah, my next choice after running back was possibly linebacker too, because we had talked about before the Chargers didn't draft a linebacker, and I don't know how long it's been since they went through the whole draft without drafting one linebacker. So that's a position with the change going from the 3-4 to the 4-3. There might be a few guys that don't make the transition. Us here sitting on our couches or whatever say, oh, it's easy to change positions. I had Quentin Jammer playing safety. Remember how easy I thought that was going to be, and then he went.
Well, that should have happened.
Well, but he went to Denver and tried it, and he stunk.
No, we did not. He didn't have the proper coaching.
Okay, maybe that's it. Yeah.
You don't have proper coaching in Denver. Come on, Jason.
That's right. They only won it.
No better.
They have the best offensive coordinator in football there now.
Well, now they do.
Yeah.
That was then. This is now.
So, anyways, I think that's going to wrap things up for us this week. I think that we've talked enough Chargers. We were going to talk a little bit of Padres, but I think we'll push that to next week. There's not a whole, we got a couple guys doing pretty good. Hunter Renfroe has gotten a couple big hits, but his average is still low.
Well, one thing I'll just point out before we go, Manny Margot leads all rookies in hits, on base percentage, doubles, singles. Kid looks like he's going to be a stud for the San Diego Padres, batting 278, I think. He's keeping his average real high. And plays stellar defense. One of these kids that we're going to really be able to build around. So, pretty excited about the young guys.
I know this sounds ridiculous, but
with the losing.
But Austin Hedges has got his average up to 221, which sounds so lame.
Well,
but
when you start 2 for 38,
yeah,
that doesn't sound so lame.
He was in the low ones for so long, so he's actually heating up, which is nice. But we'll talk about all that stuff next week. There's a 2,142 regular season games, so we got lots of stuff to talk about for baseball. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for us, guys. Thanks everybody for joining us. We're going to go ahead and finish the show like we started. We're going to be listening to a little bit of music from Requested, and we'll talk to everybody next week. Travis, thanks for joining. You want one last word there, Trav?
I just want to ask you all, guys, are any of you guys planning on going to see a game up in Smell A?
Fuck no.
No.
Okay. That's good.
You know what? I got a blessing, fellas. I got to see my buddy Corey today, and I told him. Yeah, I told him straight out. I was like, Corey, you're my boy, man. I said, I'll come watch you, but I'm not buying a ticket, right? And he's laughed, and he was like, I got you covered. And I was like, all right, because I'm not paying your boss. He already got a bonus, dude. So
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
How was that, by the way? We didn't get a chance to talk about that. You saw Corey Leggett today. You even tweeted out a picture of that. Repping your shirt Sandlot, by the way. Cool shirt. I got one from you. I love the shirt. I was wearing it up when I went to visit Jake. How was that visiting with Corey today?
It was pretty cool, man. It happened in a funny sort of way. I was sitting in my car chilling out at lunch, and I get a text from Miami, and I'm like, where in the Miami is this number from? Like, who is this, And then the reply was Corey Leggett, and I was like, oh, dang, what's up, bro? Like, what's good? And he was like, I'm gonna come see you at your place of work. I need to get something. And I was like, cool, come on over. And I had to pick his brain because I've known him for a couple years now, and he's a real down-to-earth guy. And he told me, man, he was pretty honest. He said that he's still planning on living in San Diego, and that some of the younger guys might move, but he said the guys like him and Phil, just being that San Diego's their home, he said they're just going to commute up. And he even admitted to not knowing exactly how it's going to work. He said that the facilities up in Costa Mesa were nice. He didn't speak too highly of StubHub. He said what they do at the facilities, at StubHub is nice, but he said the field itself he wasn't a fan of. And, he actually wanted to stay here, and it was nice. There was a lady next to me, and she saw him, and she actually had tears in her eyes. It was kind of sad because she was just saying it was going to be hard for her and how hard it is now. And her and I kind of chopped it up along the side. And, he's a real down-to-earth guy. So
he seems like a great man, dude. Did you let him know that it's okay to get to the quarterback?
I
like Corey Legit. I'm sure he's. I know I'm playing, but I know he's a nice man. But can he? Can he I'm just.
He told me shots fired by Justin, man. Shots fired.
He lost some weight. That's a good thing. Okay.
Yeah, he said he lost.
A better thing would be getting to the quarterback. So I love Corey Legit, nice guy, but he needs to sack the quarterback.
No, you're right.
I love him.
Amy Twisted. Tell him if he needs a personal chauffeur to take him from San Diego to LA, I'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I'll be more than happy to drive him up to LA and
not for free, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I'll just do it to get a ticket to the game. I don't care.
For tickets, right.
Hell yeah.
You guys know the drill. We only go if the tickets are free. We bring our own friggin' beer.
Yep.
And whatever else we like, whatever other vices we like. And
I don't even know if I would
go for free.
Not
a dime to the owner. Not a dime to the
Nope.
owner.
I don't
exactly.
know.
Hey, Jake.
Yeah.
He mentioned Legit dropped a couple more pounds. Is it for sure that he's moving inside, or is there a possibility that he stays on the outside?
No, I think you still keep him on the inside. It should be Bosa, Mebane, him, and then you put Ingram on the outside. That's your starting four.
That's nasty.
That's what I thought,
That's
too.
a nasty front four, man.
It is a nasty front. I mean, if Legit, I'm not trying to dog on him. I was just being funny, but if he could produce a few years back,
yeah,
you thought he would do better with those
that
guys
San Francisco
in there.
preseason game.
Right, exactly. So if he can get back to a little bit of the old ways and manhandle some guys, man, that would be a big benefit for us.
I think shedding some weight, like McQuist has said, I think that'll help him. A little bit lighter on her feet is always better. So
also
I like him. I think he's
so many chains.
Dude. He's a good guy. I mean, I shook his hand at camp last year. He's super down to earth. I dig that dude, and I definitely like to see him get back to what we all know he can do. That'd be awesome.
Very, very humble man.
I agree with you as well, and I'm looking forward to him moving inside. I think he'll have a lot more success.
It's a natural position in the 4-3 defense for all four of those guys now.
Yeah, you're right about that.
That could be the best front four in football if they keep healthy and play their cards.
Hey, did you tell Corey that if he's going to live in San Diego, don't drink the water down here? It breaks tendons. Stay away.
So does the LA water.
Yeah, export your water from Los Angeles. Yeah.
Or from Colorado, anywhere. Just do not drink the San Diego water. It tears tendons.
Fiji water.
Mayor, SoCal Trav, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you you chiming in. Requested. Thanks for the T-shirt. Thanks for the music. Thanks for everything you bring to the show. We appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure.
Jake, have fun. I know, Jake, you're going out of town for a little while for a much needed vacation. After spending all that time, after spending the last 6 years thinking about this draft, it's finally time to get out of town and enjoy yourself.
Kuiper's tired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just know that when I'm out there, I'm already looking forward to next year's draft.
I know you are.
Start all over again.
I know you are. Of course, great. Justin. It's always fun, man. I look forward to. We're going to talk. Who knows if we're going to talk Chargers next week? It depends on if anything happens. Because if we don't have nothing to talk about, we might just talk Padres next week. We'll have to see.
Well, I'm sure somebody will get arrested. We'll figure it out.
Well, somebody's going to drink the water here and bust a hamstring.
Don't
or something.
Maybe
say that.
Spanis can do that.
Yeah. Maybe sprain his skin. I already told you he's going to wake up and stub his toe. That's what's going to happen to him. All right,
He's
guys.
going to wake up and find a cork in his ass.
Thanks for...
Yahtzee.
Yeah, well, if he's holding in his farts. All right, guys. he is holding them in, so...
the most professional podcast in the country.
Thanks for bringing that to me, Requested. I am going to use the shit out of that. I love that.
Oh, no worries, man. Enjoy.
All right, guys. Have a good evening. We'll finish with some music from Requested.
Peace out, fellas.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good.
Later. Body, you got no dad body. I said, damn right, Marty, got a golden body. I see the openings, the game's looking shoddy. I speak Spanglish, you in the golden grapes and hoppy. I mumbles nothing, I keep it crisp poppy. Motivated by the hate and nothing stops me. Have I heard whose joints? Yeah, partially. I make my own shit. To me, I feel it's not. Bring it over.
Thank you for listening to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the low and slow barbecue, and SK Digital Imaging with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmoe, and Mike Maciejewski. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, and on iTunes. Visit SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com for all your Chargers, Padres, and Aztecs news.